Hello from Lucoshi and welcome back to another Tycoon 2 video. Today we are building once again in Zandleij Zoo. We got quite a lot done today actually. We have these three aviaries we're building right now, then we have another aviary, and then we have another regular mammal exhibit. So we have quite a lot to show today, and I really like what we did. Especially with these three aviaries, I think they worked out really well in the end. So as you can see, we start with this building in the back, with a lot of different wood textures, which I think looks really interesting because there's a lot of things going on with a lot of different tints and tones of brown. And we add these bookshelves once again to fake the look of actually having holes in the walls for the birds to go through, to go inside, whilst also having the regular door for the staff. Because I really try to go for realism in the zoo, which is something that hasn't really worked so far, because I've often ignored the whole staff entry thing for exhibits, so that's something we have to change in the future once we get to that stage. Because at first I want to complete the zoo in a way before we start renovating the older exhibits. So first I want to have the feel of a completed zoo. So I have all the paths connected and all of the background foliage in place, so you don't see any of the empty map. And then we can go around fixing the old stuff and adding new stuff as we see fit. But yeah, as you can see, I add this barrier between the animals and the guests, which is also something I've not really done a lot in the previous exhibits, which is something someone told me about the previous video, the serval exhibit, that it was way too dangerous to have the guests immediately next to the servals, which is completely true and something I hadn't thought about, and I have fixed in between episodes. So there is now a little barrier there too. Just like over here, where we add these flowers to make it a bit more vibrant, because all of the trees which do fit into aviaries are all very desaturated and very dull. Though I really love how that looks, but I wanted to have a bit more of a cheerful, colorful foliage combination with this exhibit, because these three aviaries are Australian bird aviaries. They hold eclectus parrots, gala cockatoos, and diamond doves, which I all got from other people in the Endgame project, because I know very little about birds. So I had people just tell me, okay, these are birds which would fit in there, and I figured, oh, these three are all Australian, so let's do these three. So if you don't know, the Endgame project is a Discord server where a lot of different people build Tycoon 2 zoos and trade their animals, which is really cool. So if we want new animals in the zoo, we have to get them from someone else in the system, which is just great fun. And yeah, over here we start our second aviary, which as you can see is on a different height as the rest of the zoo, which is something I wanted to try in this zoo. As I said in the previous video, I believe, I really enjoy having different heights and different layers in zoos, because that just makes stuff way more interesting if you're walking around, to have things on eye level but also a bit lower and a bit higher. If you can look in the distance and see something's going up or down, it's way more interesting than if everything's just on the exact same height. And it opens up possibilities like this, where you have the first view at the top, which is at a lot higher angle than the lower one, so you can really see the birds and the branches and stuff, which is just interesting to do. This aviary houses blue-faced honeyeaters and double-barred finches, which once again are two birds I had never heard of, because I know very little about birds and animals in general. I just like building zoos. But yeah, I got them through my friends on the Discord server. Because I really wanted to have more aviaries, because even though I know very little about birds, I do think having a lot of birds in a starter zoo is very important to make it feel realistic. Because aviaries are just great for a zoo to have. They just really get you into the zoo feel. And so far, pretty much every exhibit here has used chain link, so we are getting the zoo feel very right. And here we start two exhibits, one of which we are going to cover in a future episode, which is the right one, and the left one we're going to do today. and it's going to house our Corsac foxes. Yeah, I wanted to have a green backdrop for this exhibit because that's something I saw on zoochat.com, which is where I get my inspiration for exhibits. Just go over there and search for any animal with exhibit behind it, and you'll get the most amazing exhibit pictures. So find inspiration and concepts and stuff for your zoos, which is really cool. And yeah, I found one which had these green walls in the exhibit, and I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to try that because I figured that wasn't really possible over here because I don't have a green wall, actually a green fence. So I went with these wallpaper things by Zeta Designs, and it kind of works. They are a bit less vibrant green than I would have hoped, but it works. It kind of works because the rest of the foliage compensates for the green colors. And we use a lot of rocks in this exhibit, which is something I hadn't really done in the rest of the zoo. And to be honest, I also didn't really want to do in the rest of the zoo, because this is a Dutch zoo and there are not a lot of rocks over here in the forest and stuff. But yeah, not having rocks just makes stuff very boring in an exhibit, because you can't really use the terraining tool to have very interesting terrain. And I wanted this exhibit to be very busy and chaotic with lots of different stuff going on. So you also have this wooden thing which they can crawl under and over, which is cool. And the foliage is just chaotic because we barely use any foliage piece twice, which is cool because it gives a very realistic and lush forest feel, which is what we were going for. And in the end, I really like the foliage of this exhibit. I think it looks cool. And it fits the Corsac foxes. This building in the back is similar to the one in the previous episode with the Serval exhibit, where we have these concrete borders at the top, but I decided not to fill the entire thing with concrete borders because at first I wanted to, but then I was like, no, that's way too much work, I'm not going to do that, you're not going to see it anyway. And in the end I think it looks better this way actually than the way we did it in the Serval exhibit, so it's time saving and looks better. That's a win-win. But I didn't want to just not have the borders there at all, because then you just have, it looks like you don't have a roof at all from the ground. And yeah, that just looks boring and stupid and unrealistic in my opinion. So even if you from the ground don't see, let me rephrase. Even if you have a flat roof, it doesn't have to be boring and unrealistic and just lazy. You can still add details like this. And yeah, we once again added these borders to separate the guests from the animals, even though we also added a lot of rocks and branches to the front of the exhibit, so the Corsac foxes won't really go towards the guests, hopefully. So it's just, it makes everything a bit more safe. But that's going to be it for today's video. We got some much needed aviaries done, and I especially like this first one. I think it really fits the rest of the zoo, and the second one will fit in quite nicely as well once we get the background and stuff done, but it already makes this Serval exhibit fit in a lot better than it did previously. And the Corsac Fox exhibit is also a great start and will look even better once the exhibit next to it is done, which will be in the next video. So, thank you all very much for watching once again, or if this is the first time, thank you for watching right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.